Hey, Dan Coachimilla here with NorCal Sports Network with another video. This one is on Kyle Tucker, and it's back to our series of Should the San Francisco Giants, and today it's Should the San Francisco Giants sign free agent outfielder Kyle Tucker? Before we get into this video, let us thank our sponsor. That would be Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group is located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call at 415-613-9483 for all your legal needs. You got a personal injury situation? Give David Chapman and his group a call. They will get you top dollar. All right, everybody. Should the Giants sign free agent Kyle Tucker? Well, that depends on a lot of things, right? I mean, the Giants can afford it. Tucker's going to be 29 years of age going into the season, and he's 28 right now, but the projected value on him is from Spot Track is a 10-year deal at about $400 million. 401,794,000 is what they put it exactly. So you're looking a little over $40 million a year. All right. Well, if you want to look at Cott's salary, why don't we do that? Why don't we pull that up? Sorry for the small print. I cannot enlarge this because it's in an Excel and it's not letting me enlarge it. So you'll just have to trust me if you can't see it. But the Giants' salary going into 2026 right now is projected at $182 million. Okay. Now, Cots does not include on here the salary owed $17 million to Blake Snell. So that brings it up to $199. They owe a few million to Jorge Soler. I think the Giants are right around $205 million going into the 26 season. And the CBT tax is at $244 million. So I think the Giants have roughly about $40 million to spend. Now they can make some moves. They can move a few guys, but the Giants are pretty much top heavy with 5 players. And those 5 players are Matt Chapman. He's going to be making $25.1 million. And that is what's projected toward the competitive balance tax. And then you got Robbie Ray, who's going to be counted as $23 million for the tax purposes. Rafael Devers, $27.5 million. Jung-Hoo Lee, $18.8 million. Logan Webb is at $18 million. And then Willie Adames at $26 million. Now, the Giants will be paying out a little bit more in that area in terms of actual what they pay, their labor relations payrolls. But here's the Giants' payroll projected again. Their payroll is at $155,430. Their projected CBT tax is $182. Again, that doesn't include the monies owed to Blake Snell and Jorge Soler. But in 2027, all right, the Giants dropped down to $135 million for the payroll tax. And it stays there in 28 at $136 million. And then in 29, right now, it's $118 million. And 2030, it's projected to be only $100 million. So the answer is yes, the Giants can afford Kyle Tucker. They could go over the payroll tax this year, and then next year they could drop below, and they can make themselves very, very competitive going into the 26th season by adding Kyle Tucker. But the question is, do you want to add a Kyle Tucker for $40 million? And why do I say $40 million, and do you want to do that? Let's just take a look. Now, this is just last year, okay? Tucker didn't have the greatest of years, but this is a comparison between Elliot Ramos last year and Kyle Tucker. Now, we know Tucker is a better player than Ramos, but is he $40 million better? I mean, Elliot Ramos is costing the Giants less than $1 million. The war hire for Tucker, primarily, if you look at this, it's going to be mainly because of his defense. Ramos was awful. But Ramos played more games, 21 more games, had more plate appearances, more hits, one less home run, 4 less RBIs. Tucker had 25 stolen bases to 6. Batting average, they were only 1% apart, 266 to 256. On base percentage, 377 to 328. Slugging, 464 to 400. OPS, a little bit higher, quite a bit higher there, about 113 points or 13.1%. And then OPS plus 143 to 108. So that's one example there when you look at just last year. So a more fair comparison would be comparing Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker, both free agents, both got about the same amount of years. Bellinger has a couple more years played on him. He's got about roughly almost, it looks like about almost 390 games more played than Kyle Tucker. So he's obviously going to have more plate appearances, more hits, more homers, more RBIs. So you want to look at some of the other categories that don't count longevity, but just like batting average, 273 to 261 in favor of Tucker. On base percentage, just slightly higher. Slugging, slightly higher. OPS, a little higher. And OPS plus 140 to 120. So Tucker's the better player. Bellinger's not going to command the same amount of money that Tucker's going to command. But the question is, who would you prefer? You can get Bellinger probably less years and less money per year, AAV. So maybe the more valued player is Bellinger over Tucker. But I don't think the Giants are going to land Kyle Tucker. But should they go after him? Well, you've got Devers and you've got Adames and Chapman and Lee. Lee, you might be stuck with that contract. Lee has to learn to make contact for him to become a valuable player for the Giants. His defense isn't the greatest in center field. So Kyle Tucker is best suited in right field, and I think that's where Jung-Hoo Lee is best suited. I don't think he's a great center fielder. So I'm not sure if the fit is there. If somehow the Giants were able to sign Kyle Tucker and trade Jung-Hoo Lee, that would be phenomenal. That would be a great move, in my opinion. But I don't know if anybody wants that contract of Jung-Hoo Lee. Jung-Hoo Lee is owed next year. The Giants are going to be paying him $23 million, but the CBT tax is only 18.8, and that's for the next 4 years through the 29 season. Now, Lee has an opt-out after the 27 season. You kind of hope as a Giants fan that Jung-Hoo Lee is going to opt out after the 27 season. You want Jung-Hoo Lee to opt out. Why do I say you want him to opt out? Because if he's not opting out, that means he's stinking for the Giants, and you're stuck with him for 4 years. You want Jung-Hoo Lee to opt out of that contract, and you want the Giants to have to try and re-sign him because he's so good, because he's like one of the top hitters for average and contact and all of that in all of baseball. So you better hope and pray that Jung-Hoo Lee has a couple good years and at least a great year in the 27 to opt out. Otherwise, Giants may prohibit the Giants from actually going and signing a couple of players they'd like. So do they go after Tucker? I don't think they do, unless I just don't think the Giants are in that market. I think they should. I think they should because they can afford it. Remember what I told you, their payroll drops significantly starting in the 27 season. It drops down to 135 million. And then it goes to 136, then 118, and then in 2030, 100 million. So the Giants are set up where they're going to be fine with their payroll. Okay. So I think it would be wise of them to try to get Tucker. Anytime you can get a player of that caliber, it's going to push you to a playoff contention, right? He helped the Cubs get to the playoffs this past season. But I think the biggest need, and we'll talk about that more in future videos, is the Giants need pitching, 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 and more pitching, okay? Go out, get a minimum of 2 starters, and get a couple other guys that can start or relieve. They need at least 4 pitchers signed, 2 legitimate starting pitchers, and a couple of guys that can be swingmen. And when there's injuries, they can step into a starter's role. The Giants have to get some late inning help in their bullpen as well. So that's my take on it, guys. Comment below. Let us know what you think. Should the Giants go after Tucker? You agree, disagree? What do you think of their roster? Make your comments below, and we will try to respond to some of those accordingly. Appreciate you watching this video, and if you would do us a favor, like and subscribe. Like the video, it pushes it out to more people, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. When you subscribe, you'll turn on that notifications bell. You'll get notified every time we go live or we put out a video. All right, guys, thanks for watching NorCal Sports Network, your #1 place for San Francisco Giants news. Take care, everybody.